Let's cross live to Yanawa in Bayelsa State and speak to our correspondent Ovietemi George for an update on that story. Ovietemi, good evening and thanks for joining me on Newsnight.
Good evening.
Well, it's 9 days since that explosion at OML 18, and from your reports, residents are fleeing Bukuma due to health concerns. Could you paint us a picture of what the situation is on ground right now? How bad is the pollution, and what are the immediate dangers that people are seeing?
Nkechi, well, it's one of fear, tension, and apprehension. Now, these are fishermen, fisherwomen, if you like. Sorry to play with words that way, but you see, the fishing and farming is woven fine into their socio-cultural fabric. That is their source of livelihood. Any other thing is secondary. Now, that has been greatly disrupted by this blaze, a fire on the creek flowing to the river. Now, another cause for concern is it's not just within the area. It is a saline river, in other words, salt water as we call it. So there's ebb tide and also there's flow tide. So when there's flow tide, it flows to satellite communities and other towns in Kalabari Kingdom in that area and even beyond. And then when it is ebb tide, it stays along the mangrove, killing aquatic life slowly. So the reason the people are leaving, from the report you heard them complain about headaches, associated illnesses. Now, some are even afraid it could lead to cancer. They are not doctors, they are not medical personnel, but they may have heard about certain things linked to that, and so they are really afraid. That was why I said apprehension. So many are leaving. Others who are far away from the troubled spot are still there. So some who have left, who perhaps do not have anywhere to go to the palace of their king. Of course, there was a relief material sent down there. I don't want to talk about that. But the question I ask, if you can, is it a season of strange fires on rivers? Of Fiaminama Alakri in Okrika, there's a fire raging there for over 8 months, perhaps 9. There is fire raging in what they call Ororo Well 1 fire in Awoye, Ondo State. It took me 3 hours to get there by boat. That has been raging for more than 5 years. Now this one has come. So it gives one great concern for a people who are vulnerable, so to speak, because they are more like peasants in the communities, having to contend with what should naturally be their source of livelihood is now a threat to their health and their well-being. Nkechi.
Ovietemi, let's talk about the investigation. There's been some finger pointing. Is it vandals? Is it negligence? The investigation has suggested that suspected pipeline vandals may have caused the gas leak. However, there are also growing concerns about NNPCL's infrastructure maintenance. With your interactions with stakeholders, what's your sense of what's going on?
Well, you mentioned something about NNPC and infrastructure. Okay. Ofiominama Alakri in Okrika, that is owned by the NNPCL. This wellhead 8 of OML 18 is owned by the NNPCL. So you can conclude it, Nkechi. Well, that of Awoye in Ilaja local government area of Ondo State is not owned by a company yet, so it's a bit sketchy. Is it owned by the NNPCL? I really cannot say. Initially, you made mention of perhaps if it was a case of third-party breach, in other words, sabotage on the part of some youth. Well, I cannot really place an alert finger on that because I do not have any evidence to say so. The people that were interviewed in my report never made reference to that. And then, of course, you heard from Ojukaye Flagamakri, who led that delegation earlier, saying, alluding to that. So there must be an investigation. And of course, what follows after such visits, after such happens, is a joint investigation visits. It comprises of NOSDRA, the communities, the Environment Ministry in Rivers State, and others who would then look at it and come with a conclusion. That was actually what happened in Bayelsa State when the Aiteo fire raged on for 1 month and about 8 days. So People oftentimes wait to get a report from NOSDRA after a joint investigation visit. But most times, people often say that the truth is not revealed because the locals, permit me to use that word, those who live in those communities cannot stand up to defend themselves. So whatever allegations. Now that brings to mind, don't we talk about protection of our pipelines? So who are those protecting the pipelines there? Was it a case of accident or negligence? I really cannot say. But a woman said something quite profound, that on the 18th of December, the wellhead, that is wellhead 8 of OML 18, was emitting gas, that it was left unattended to. I'm quoting her now. Then on the 12th of January, this month, a blaze, an explosion, and that fire has been raging. But I hear also that the NNPCL has contracted a reputable firm to kill the Christmas tree. That's what it's called, of course, the wellhead. So I don't know, with work being done today, so between today and tomorrow, we hope to hear good news. Good news in the sense that it may have been extinguished. That's what we hope to hear, Nkechi.
Ovieteme, speaking of NOSDRA, the Director General promised immediate action and relief for those affected. Are we seeing any real intervention? What's going on with the support for people who have been affected?
Not much has been heard. NOSDRA is to investigate, is a regulatory agency, but then relief usually comes from, in this case, the NNPCL. We saw Indomie. Then you might think of other things that they brought. How can the people adapt to that? I don't know. I don't know the quantity of relief materials that they could describe as palliatives brought to the community. But you are talking about that. Now, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, I haven't seen, neither have I heard any word about any visit by NEMA. NEMA should be there, post haste, with speed, go and see the number of persons that are still in the community, attend to their needs, and then, of course, providing medical materials also, because for people to complain about constant headache, it's abnormal. So something should be done swiftly. And that's the reason the people are crying to President Bola Tinubu and, of course, Governor Siminalayi Fubara for intervention and then to kill that tree.
Thank you so much, Ovieteme George, for giving us the update on that development in OML 18. Thank you so much.